Welcome to the show. Here. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Marcus and Tim. Come on in, fellas. All-American Hoopers. Let's give it up for them right now. Our host, Robert Reed, couldn't make it tonight. He had a family emergency. But however, the show goes on. Introduce Kim.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marcus Thigpen. I'm a regular citizen. I guess you'll call me a Joe of opinions. I happen to be friends with Mr. Bobby Reed, and he asked me to come on and talk basketball tonight, which is something I think I know something about. The regarded player in the Chicago area, all-area honorable mention in the Sun-Times last year as a sophomore. Like I said, we breathe the game, and I know with me.
What's his name?
His name is Michael Salter, and he's a junior at Romeoville, and they are very much a part of the conversation that we're gonna have tonight. With me, friend and basketball lover, Mr. Tim Coleman. Introduce yourself, Tim.
Hello, folks. My name's Tim Coleman. I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. As you can see, Kentucky Wildcat fan, Big Blue Nation. But I live in Evanston, Illinois now. I have lived there for 17 years. Played it professionally overseas for 5 years in Germany. And
is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I go to a lot of games here in the Chicagoland area. I try to see as many kids as I can, and awesome. Even do some evaluation.
Awesome. What position did you play?
Guard.
What? They say the game belongs to the guards, right? Is that true? Or
game has always belonged to the guards. We got to be the generals on the floor. Got to know every position on the floor.
Marcus, where did you play?
I played at Thornwood High School in the 90s, and high school wasn't really what I thought it was. I guess I was more of a brain. I wound up going to University of Texas.
Okay.
And I was a practice player with the Division I program, men and women, for 3 years. So I had a chance to work with Hall of Fame Coach Conrad with the women, and Coach.
Push that mic up to you a little bit more.
Live the dreams that you have while I got them to pay for some of the school, and got myself together. And as I returned as an adult, I was able to teach the game to my child at an advanced level and kind of help him.
You still look like you still look like you still hoop, right? You still look like it.
I play, but I'm afraid of that Achilles.
Okay.
That middle 30-year-old man injury. So I may play once a week. But I mean, when I feel the juices, I might show up at Romeoville practice.
What?
My son is there, and
that is awesome.
I'm a father figure with the guys. They trip because I can still dunk. I can't do all the twisting on but after practice, they throwing dollars on the floor, man. Let's see what So it's a situation where yes, I'm still in the game. I still breathe it. I'm still healthy. I have a family that take me away from playing, but I also have some interest as far as helping both of my sons as they play.
I got a question. People play basketball. It's not just about the ball in the hoop. It's like a game of life. How do you see basketball as a game of life?
Well, the thing I can tell you that basketball did for me how to persevere, even when I thought that everything was going to go my way. Okay. I was a part of programs where I felt like I was better than other guys. Okay. I felt like I was, and for what reason, I had to learn that when you think things are lined up for you, it don't always go that way.
Man, ain't that life?
You know, you have to learn to accept certain things, but then you also have to learn to project certain things.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's a big deal that I see, especially in the high school community. I mean, I know guys on all the top 25 teams generally. And that's what I see that separates guys that go to other levels. You have to be able to accept what you don't do well, and then you have to project what you do well. And that's in life. I mean, you know, be auto mechanic. I mean, I'm a self-taught auto mechanic. That's what I do for a living. 12 years in business for myself. But it wasn't always like this, man. I know what it is to be the guy carrying the water bag. I know how it is to scuffle. And you learn that perseverance is the only answer to your problems. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, growth and development. But Tim, look, give me your take on the whole scenario. Okay, when you started off playing, what would you say to some young person that's coming up? They love basketball. You like give them what mindset went to the game?
Okay, I will tell them just like anything else. What you get out of it. You work hard, you learn the game, you learn every part of the game, even the lines on the court. All detail. You learn those things, okay, you're gonna be successful on the court. It is, you have to go out and work for it. You can't have it given to you. And what I see a lot these days is a lot of entitlement. A lot of kids are given things before they've actually earned them. That's not life.
Right.
You got to go out there, okay, before it's given to you. That's just the way it is. And that's why you see transfers in college last year. 100, and it's getting worse. The entitlement. People think, you know, it should be given there and earn it.
And put their work in.
Work in on the court. I know it's hard in Chicago because the playgrounds and all the dangers, but you can get to an indoor court or somewhere and go work on your game. Coaches to tell you, you shouldn't need a trainer to tell you. You should have that love of the game to go out there on your game as much as possible. 4 hours, 5 hours, and also when you get inside of a gym, okay, it's not just 4 hours of doing stuff that's your strength. You should be working on your weaknesses.
But you know what? And that's a good point, Tim. A lot of people are not what their weaknesses are. So this is just a ask. How do they look for their weaknesses without somebody telling them? Do they, like, within themselves, they say, okay, you know, I know how to dribble good, I think I shoot good. How do they find their weaknesses? What their weaknesses are?
Film. And be self-critical of yourself. Okay, I have no weaknesses. I should go look at film because the film doesn't lie. Okay, doesn't lie.
You're right.
Okay,
you're right.
And you can
Real
tell
time
out there what your weaknesses are. Take that film, break it down. And I do that, but break it down, see where my weaknesses are, and go into the gym and work on those weaknesses. Muscle memory. What it is, if your weakness is shooting, that's quality shots. If you have to, go get a book. Go look at a video on how the textbook way to shoot the ball.
Wait, hold on. You said muscle memory.
Yes.
Break that down a little bit more to me.
Okay. Say 300 shots. You shoot them the same way every time. You don't shoot them any different. I see it a lot. Kids shoot a ball differently on 6 shots. Your shot should be the same every time, whether you're shooting a 5-foot shot, whether you're shooting a 10-foot shot, or free throws.
But what about if you got the defense on you in a certain type of way? Your shot in order to, because if you got one thing I can say about people who play with 2 and 3 guys guarding them, just got this one guy running at you. They have the ability to change your shot. Marcus, what do you think?
I think that speaks to a point that Tim is trying to make, in that you can shoot 30,000 different types of shots, okay? But you have to learn how to make all of them. Ooh. Okay, so what I'm saying is 2 feet under the basket, 1 step to the left, that you can make a certain way, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're really serious about the game, and if you really want to improve yourself, you're going to, first of all, surround yourself with ball players, okay? That's what you're going to do. If you feel like you really want to go to a next level, you're going to find a university as a high school player, okay? Mm-hmm. That's what you're going to do. You're going to seek out a men's league, or you're going to get with your dad and your uncles, and you're going to go out there and you're going to test yourself against people who you know are better than you. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to start to figure out what they don't allow you to do. My son played with me and my friends when he was 10 years old. But we beat him up. You know, when it was time to foul him, he got fouled. You have to learn how to accept that. And by the time he was 12, we fouled him, and he started to throw the ball up, and it's going in. And we look at each other like, well, maybe it's working. And so your work is individual. The game is collective. You understand? The game is played with 9 other people on the court, 5 guys guarding against you and 4 guys with you. So if you want to continually get better in the game, you have to be in live fire, rapid fire situations. And the only way that you're going to get better, the only way guys that are in college, they go up into, the gym downtown Chicago, they find, when Jimmy Butler and them in town, they figure it out. And they go in there and they test their metal, and they figure out, what do I do that stacks up against this guy? What do I do that? And then that's when you go back and you say, well, I couldn't stop Jimmy from going left. I got to work on my lateral right movement. I got to work on that. A couple weeks at a time, and you put them bands on and you go right the whole time. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you go find him again, and then you test yourself again. Okay. And with everything in life, and basketball being a very, very small picture of it, you got to be willing to continue to test yourself. Okay. You got to accept the fact that, yes, you are proficient. And be more proficient. Okay. Kevin Durant don't say, man, I shoot threes good, and I ain't got to shoot threes no more. Steph Curry don't say, well, man, I'm making them off from back here, so I ain't got to worry about shooting down in there. Right. Every day when they come into work, because if you're going to play basketball at a high level, it's a job. They got to focus on what they're trying to get better at. They have an evaluation situation, and that's how improvement happens.
So, you know what? Speaking to that point, in terms of being able to, and this is Mark Simpson, consider themselves when they become scorers, offensive players. Mm-hmm. But they don't, their defense or now I know some people, and we're talking about the Bulls, that's why Dennis Rodman stands out. And there'll be probably another Dennis Rodman.
Correct.
Wasn't a scorer. Correct. But you're talking about rebounding? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I guess maybe real quick, let me give you a couple of thoughts. When I worked with Coach Conrad, Jody Conrad, Hall of Famer, she coached the women. And I got to tell you, the women practices were 55 times harder than the men. Why? Was because the women were way more skilled. You didn't go over that. Wait. Say that again. The women were way more skilled than the men's scholarship players. Okay. And I say it like this: if you laid on the screen in your face, okay, that will happen. If you feel like I'm 6'3" and she 5'8" and she can't get a piece of me on that screen, she gonna come in and she gonna knock a piece of you out of there. Okay. and I found that I learned personally, being a high school player out of Chicago. I went to another part of the country for college. I learned more about the game working with the University of Texas women than I ever learned. Because not only were they all skilled, but we was dealing with a Hall of Fame coach. Fame, you can look it up. And she talked about 5 tools. What I brought to my son, and this is what I hope that when he puts the game on somebody else, I hope this is what he does. There are 5 parts of the game that you have to focus on.
Listen, y'all.
Okay.
Listen, y'all.
Take notes. Defense is the first part of the game. Ooh. You either have to be able to interrupt passing lanes, you have to be able to interrupt shots, or you have to be able to rebound and stop possessions. That's defense. Okay. So defense is number one. Number two is shooting. That you can't score enough points to beat the other team. Okay. The third is passing. I mean, a pass that hits a man where they can score and a pass that stops possession. There's a big difference in those passes. Okay. If you understand the difference in those passes and you make more passes that continue possessions and force shots, you are a better player. Okay. Yes, efficient passing. So we got defense, shooting, passing. You have ball handling. Able to take care of the ball and move the ball and possess the ball.
Well, you know, right now the whole game is changing because you got centers now. They can pretty much dribble like guards.
That's the 5-2 thing. That's why the game is so much better. That's why you got 7-foot guys that can get the rebound and go all. That's why the game
take it all the way
is so
down to the court.
Beautiful now,
man,
because you got people of all sizes that they work on these tools. And the most underrated tool, the one that nobody ever talks about, is your willingness to be a teammate. That means when your teammate get beat, you either gonna go over and you're gonna take a foul for your teammate, or you're gonna go over and try to take a charge for your teammate. What that means is if your teammate get knocked down, you're gonna be one of the first people over to pick them up and ask them if they're okay. The teammate grade, that's what separates a kid from going from grammar school into high school and to college into the NBA. That's what I've seen. Okay. And that, I mean, I would say those are the five.
I mean, I think those are excellent tools, and I hope my son, I'm going to make sure you watch this show and you get these techniques down, you get these tools. I hope you got your taking notes and holding down yards. But listen, Tim.
Yes.
Like in all of the games that you played, that was the most the game that was the most. What was you up against? What was the biggest challenge you ever faced in a game?
Was on the line, my biggest challenge, I would say shutting down my guy. Because a lot of times when I played, I also played in the Army. And so I also did that.
You want to talk about that a little bit more later.
And so a lot of times, well, we'd have a guy, he might be scoring 15, 20 points. Okay, he's killing us. Winning the game pretty much because the other guys are supporting him, but he's the one that's on fire.
Go-to
guy. He's the go-to guy at that time. I took the challenge. I told the coach, let me guard him. I got it. I'll take care of everything else.
Yes.
Okay. I got y'all. And that's another thing kids don't do. They don't volunteer to guard the best guy because okay.
Highlight films.
But I mean, you got
pictures.
You have to take that risk. So championship game of Army Europe. 3. It was a best of 3. Game 3. As I told the coach, I got him. I told my teammates, y'all take care of everything else. I got this guy. He didn't breathe. It's timeout. I went to the bench. I followed him. What flavor chewing gum he had. He didn't score a field goal for 14 minutes. Ooh. I didn't concentrate on helping out. Take care of that. I was on this guy. The thing you got to do is make sure he doesn't get the ball. I made sure he didn't get the ball.
Right.
Okay, if he don't get the ball, he can't score.
Right, he can't do
All right, so offense, okay. But I was strictly concentrating on defense down and trusted my teammates to take care of the rest of it.
You said something so interesting. Most people, like if you got a high score in the game, he's used to getting a certain amount of points. He's not willing to give up that offense. Get on that defense and shut this guy down. Stats and the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, that is just brilliant. Marcus talked about teamwork. When you realize that it's a team in the game, it's not just you. Somebody willing to sacrifice his points.
Yeah, that was just one. I'm just one piece.
Man.
Okay. My teammates had to do everything else.
Right.
And that was it.
that's so powerful, and I think it's taken away from the game of is learning from the game of basketball. Is that it's about really life. It applies to so many. But Marcus, question to you: what do you think was the most challenging time out of basketball? What game that you was in that it was just it was like on the line, and you had to step up to the plate? I mean,
I can't really say because my volume of game experience overall really ain't what people's is. I can't say that.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, what I mean, elaborate. I played 2 years of high school. Probably played in games, 12 games, something like that. It wasn't a lot. From Morgan Park, the junior high school, to Thornwood. And I thought that because I played junior high ball at Morgan Park and I was slated to do that at Morgan Park, that everything was going to work for me. Walked into Thornwood like, I'm here. And as a freshman, I didn't play. Okay, so that's the experiences I can talk to you about.
Okay, that's good.
And reality is that was probably the most difficult time. That and the practicing with the Division I team, both of them, the men and women. That was difficult. That was okay. That was what I would say in my life is the closest to being a pro, because we did something every day. And I still had a job.
Mm-hmm.
And 19 years old, and it's the University of Texas, so I'm trying to eat at the buffet of life too. So during that part of my life, when I was working with both the men and women team, I felt like I learned. I felt like I validated my own game. I felt like get at Thornwood and at other places. I felt like I actually put myself in a position where I could say, well, man, I do have these chops. I mean, I do have 5 or 6 friends that are former NBA players from my program. So when you going and bumping heads against these guys every day, and they on scholarship, and their only job is to play basketball. That's their job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I ain't been in college in a long time, but I'm sure things haven't changed a lot. That when you arrive as a basketball player, that's your job. Whatever, like you said, your teammates, your faculty is gonna help you with everything else. They want you to run that lane because Kentucky likes winning games. They do. Okay. Now, I'm not throwing Kentucky or any particular program under the bus, but I'm just giving you my experience that the top dogs, they put it a different way. And it's nothing wrong with that. But I think that the way that we try to whitewash everything, make it all look equivalent, that's a problem. Okay. Right. But back to what you was asking me. My life was the part of my life where I was really validating myself. I knew how to do from the time I was 5. I mean, I grew up in the YMCA. The referee, the infamous Mal Kason, he's one of my fathers in the game. So I've been around the game forever. It's just that the opportunities I wanted and I felt like I deserved didn't come my way. And I didn't decide to just throw the game away. I mean, I went to college. I didn't know anybody in Austin when I first got there. So I lived at the rec center. After a couple months, they like, man, who are you? And I'm like, I'm a student, man. They asked me for my ID. They didn't believe I was a student. And once they saw the ID, they like, well, man, you got to help us out, And it could have turned into an opportunity for me to walk on, but for me, I was at a different point in my life. So I just feel like the totality of the game should be difficult. You should have, from the time that you 5 to the time that you should have adversity every year. Challenges to overcome every year, like we do. That's what I think the game is supposed to give you, the ability to try, fail, succeed, and evaluate and try again.
And you know what? That's so interesting, man, because I see the people who are actually going to the top, they've been through adversity. And a lot of people haven't been through adversity. So when they feel that they got like a good shot and hold that yards, but when it gets to like the crunch time in the playoffs, but the person that has went through that adversity teams to rise to the occasion because they're used to the adversity. So Tim, the question I want to ask you, do you feel that the way that you played in basketball, was it congruent to like the way you came up? How did you come up with?
Okay. I came up, like I said, in Lexington, Kentucky. I started playing ball when I was 8 years old. Self-made, like I said, opened up books, found out the rules of the game, got out there on the court. My mom coached my first team in the YMCA. So, okay,
Wow,
she coached us. We lost one game in 3 years. So
What?
yes,
Oh man, you don't even
one
hear
game
that.
in 3 years. I've had a lot of winning, okay? Because after that, I went to another team called the Valley Cobra. Some people maybe in Lexington, Kentucky know who that is. 3 years. So I lost one game from 8 years old to 12 years old.
Wow. Y'all
Okay.
preschoolers, man. Over there.
Kids our age. But now I ran into some adversity when I got to junior high. I didn't make the team for 3 years. Each year. I told that coach, ninth grade, I said, you're going to regret cutting me. He's like, well, why is that? And I was like, because I'm going to go up and make the high school team and I'm going to play on the varsity. Regret cutting me.
Oh, man, you told him like that.
Right? Yeah, I did. I told him that. So I went up to the high school, made the team, varsity. For a year, I got to start in varsity. 9 points a game. I wasn't the greatest high school player. I wasn't an All-American. That was my thing. Okay, at the time. So I got to my senior year and I'm starting. And so this coach, this junior high coach, is telling these kids, trying out, he was like, if you don't make my team, it's not the end. We have a kid that I cut for 3 straight years. He's starting varsity. You go watch him. He came up and watched me, and one of the kids was telling me, you know, that this coach told the story. So I went through my adversity too. Years, just kept plugging. I didn't give up. Kept plugging.
That's a long time, 3 years. Most people don't want to struggle after like a couple of months.
Right.
Years.
3
wow.
years. 3 years.
That's
so
correct.
So I got to college, got to Jacksonville State University. I went there. Walk on the team. And so they didn't give me much of a chance. I walked on. They didn't really give me much of a chance. Didn't get the ball away.
Was you a point or a shooting guard?
At that time, they had me as shooting guard, and I can shoot the ball. So it wasn't for me. And so things happened. I didn't stay in school. Army. Okay. I was playing Army ball in Germany for Stuttgart, the community.
What is it like? First, what is it like in Germany? You know, as far well, they always not just a sidebar thought. They always say that like, is just so obvious. Other countries, it's not as so. How do you think? Do you think that Germany, same level of kind of like how they treat blacks over here in the United States? You're a little bit more comfortable over there, and as you know, so bad.
Yes, I mean, I was more comfortable. My experience. Anywhere you have people with racism, but my experience, I was more comfortable over there. Like I said, I ended up when I was playing on the Army team, we was playing in this international tournament. We was representing Team USA, and I played pretty well. And this German team was like, "Do you want to play pro ball with us?" And I'm like, well, I'm still in the military. They said, well, you can still stay in the military and still play for us. Negotiated salary. Done. And so when I played with those guys, the German team.
So you played against the U.S.?
No. The Army team was acting as Team USA.
Oh, okay.
At the time. And like I said, we negotiated
Mm-hmm.
I ended up playing also with this professional team. And so playing with those guys was a blast. Life. I mean, the first game I'm playing, and I go into the huddle, and you know they have a translator.
Right.
So I go into the huddle, and they're like, no. Go sit over here, the end of the bench. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on? And so I go sit the end of the bench, and all of a sudden, all these kids are running toward me. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on? I'm signing autographs during timeouts. Strategy. I'm signing autographs during timeouts. So I'm like, wow, who would want my signature? You know, it was a culture shock there for a minute, but then I got used to it. So I didn't have much.
I tell you, you will be so amazed. Marcus and Tim, I'm telling both of you all that like what you do, what you aspire to do, and the whole 9 yards with your basketball, not only your basketball carry over to other parts of your life, your family, and the whole 9 yards. Somebody that's watching you all, it's kids, whether it's nieces, and they're so inspired. And the fact, I just want to encourage you guys, never stop, never give up on the dream, never your age and say, well, I can't do this or I can't accomplish this. I think there is so many much
playing for real, man.
Well, I'm not just talking about basketball.
It's okay. It's not.
You may be
done
playing basketball. That's okay. You're still really playing basketball, but you're playing it in another way. Right now, you all have some admirers that's watching you all. So some of my grown, some of my kids, some are middle-aged or whatever. Just keep being the best that you can be in your life. And you know, I watch the game of basketball now, and I see so many people that getting paid all these millions of dollars up front. They never had to really earn and, you know, sweat, tears, and stuff like that. They just get paid it off the top. So their work ethic is not even, you know, what it really should be. So do y'all concur with that, or?
I think it's well, I won't question anybody's work ethic who's attained a level of professional basketball. Tail off to get there. Yeah. What I will say though is you see people become comfortable with what they have instead of continuing to want to achieve, and that is not only a problem in the basketball world, but I mean that's kind of going prevalent, you know, and especially in the Chicago area. I mean, it's a lot of people that's just content, you know, after they pay their bill, they cool for a couple of days. They ain't thinking about what they got to do next.
Right.
And that's not going to get you down the line where you need to be. So you want to always achieve, but you don't want to be satisfied with achievement.
Right.
You know, and I think that's part of it. I mean, I won't say, you know, a guy like Derrick Rose, I won't say he was satisfied with his achievement. I would say that maybe they gave him the money too fast. Maybe they made the mistake. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I mean, at the time that he signed the contract, it wasn't no question he was worth a ton of money. It wasn't no question.
Oh yeah.
If you know the game like both of us know the game, the way he played was a car crash coming. And it was beautiful. I loved it. It was violent. I mean, he's one of my favorite players to this day.
Oh yeah,
even still. I mean,
the injuries, man.
We're talking 5-6 years removed. And watch his videos like, man, this is better than everybody that's going on right now. You know the wear and tear and the stress that put on your body when you going as fast, you faster than everybody else on the court. You pounding in, you jumping higher than everybody on the court. At a certain point, your body can't withstand that, and that's the other thing that young players you want to talk to. I mean, I tell my son all the time, man, you don't need the miles. He want to go to he want to be in everybody's shootout showcase, you know, and it's a macho thing, and I understand it. You don't need all the miles. I mean, who's to say that in, you know, homeboys meaningless shootout that you don't tear your ACL? I mean, you don't need to even, you know, not everything you got to do. That's just my thoughts about it.
Earl, how much time we got left? 7 minutes. I just want to ask one more question. And because I'm curious. It just came to my mind. I know you got a lot of talented people that come up in NBA, not just NBA. I mean, but we'll talk about the NBA. But sometimes it's like, I think it's certain things that sometimes. So I think it's a little bit deeper than the NBA. Even though you can be so talented, this certain type of scenario or profile that they want, or if you don't cater element of a hierarchy of the people that own this thing, they can blackball you in certain type of ways. And I think some of the most talented players able to in the NBA because they was rejected. What are you? Just a few.
Phil's the best dude I ever saw with my own eyes. I ever saw. I mean, and I was in high school when he was in high school. He was really, between him and Eric Herring from Thornton, to me, blown away at what they could do in high school. I mean, follow their stories. I mean, Ronnie Field's been on ESPN a bunch of times about how tragic it was that he never got there.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett that went out there, Hall of Fame player, and went out there and said, man, that's the best dude I ever seen. Continue to happen. If you want to go and you want to stay in this game, you have to stay in the game. All over in the streets. You can't okay. I mean, well, you can, but you have to have a family support network. Okay. But I mean, if this is what you really dedicated to, you got to be present. I'm present in what I do for a living. That's what I do. I wouldn't say I do it unless I'm present in it every day. I can't expect to have the respect and admiration of my customers and the people who look at me if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. It's just kind of cut and dry for me. I mean, it's a lot of dudes that got hella talent. A lot of dudes.
Right. And you know what?
But do they stay in the game?
Yeah. Let me speak to that point, Marcus. Marcus and Tim, this for y'all. What about the street ballers? You know, remember like Ed one? These leagues, these guys are extraordinary players. What do you think? How do you feel that the NBA owners feel about recruiting some of these guys in the NBA?
Well, I'm going to tell you, part of the issue is you have a lot of talented players out there. But if you think, I talk to people about this all the time, most of the NBA is rank and file. In one instance, my cousin, Shelvin Mack, plays for the Orlando Magic. He had to scrap. He had to go through the D League, that's now the G League. There, okay, the Wizards. He got a job in the NBA to where he was a backup point guard. A lot of guys, because they all their lives have been the star, have been the guy. Yeah, and they find out I'm not the guy anymore. Wow. So how am I going to adjust and get in that role? Okay, you got to learn how to play that role, and it's tough at that late in life when you've always been the guy anymore, and you have to find a role. And that's why I give my cousin Shelvin Mack props. He found the role. Okay, and he's playing that role. He's got a 2-year, $16 million contract now. Now he'll probably get another contract or two because he's playing that role of backup point guard, and he's not doing more. He does exactly what he needs to do for that team. It's that he needs to play, and he goes and sits down, and there's no complaints. There's no chemistry issues. He's not sulking on the bench. So you have to have that mindset. League is rank and file. It's not LeBron James and those type of guys. That's not most of the league. To the rule, and it's hard for a lot of these kids when they get to that level to accept that.
You know what? This is what I want to say right now. We're coming to the end of the show. Well, I want to start with you, and I want to also relate this to Tim real quickly. We got 2 minutes left. What advice would you want to just give to a kid, not a high school kid, level kid that's really like basketball and want to come up and they want to play in the NBA?
A youngster, very quickly, you can have it, but you got to figure out how to get it.
All right.
For you, Tim.
For me, first of all, concentrate on your academics. That should be the first plan. Second plan, work as hard as you can to get to that level. And don't let anybody tell you you can't get to that level. Okay, you go do what you have to do. But also, as I said, have that academics, and that should be your first option, not your second. That should be your first option. You have 1% of guys that make the NBA. 1%. Might even be lower than that.
I think that advice is awesome. Everybody, for attending this session at Chicago Millionaires, we love you. Thank you, Marcus and Tim. Big ups to y'all.
Peace.
Thank you for having us.
Well, you gotta tell Bobby we gotta come back and talk about high school basketball.
Oh yeah, man, I know, man.
But you know,
I know.
I'm sure he wants to talk about playing field.
Yeah, I know, man.
We're gonna be up on
Oh. Man, thank y'all so much.